Alright, what's going on, guys? Try back again. I'm going to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing a video review for the third and final installment of the Berserk OVA movie series. They were called the Golden Age Arc, parts 1, 2, and 3. This one, we'll be doing a review for part 3, which is called Descent. Okay, so I've done reviews for the other two, the first two, as well as the anime and the manga for Berserk. Gotta finish it up, gotta do this one, and as far as I know, this is it for the OVAs. They're not doing any more, as far as we know so far. I think they would have probably announced it by now if they were going to continue, regardless even how much this does in sales, how much money it makes, whatever. It doesn't seem like they're interested in going on with the story of Berserk any further. And that's a shame, a big time shame. Now, this video review, I'm going to try to keep the spoilers minimum, but there may be a few little things here and there. So if you're worried, if you haven't seen Berserk at all and you still want to watch it, you don't know the storyline of Berserk, you haven't read the manga, you haven't seen the old school anime, and you've just seen maybe the first two, you may not want to watch this, but I'll try to keep them very minimal to not give away anything too big. So, this OVA movie is about 2 hours, okay? And it is very hard to do a review for this portion of Berserk. Very challenging. It is some of the most tragic, dark, supernatural stuff I've ever seen in a series or anything, video game or whatever. This is really a point where Berserk takes a big change of pace in the story. A lot of things really shift here as these events unfold. Now, it is true to the manga that it's not panel for panel. There's a lot of little things they changed or they did a little bit differently. And for the most part, I think the changes are all basically good. It does introduce the Skull Knight, which was missing from the old school anime, and is an important character in the manga series. However, if they're going to end it at this point, I don't know if adding the Skull Knight really is, that doesn't really matter. I kind of want to say it doesn't, because they're not really going further with that. It's just it's a shame that they're cutting it off at the same point they cut off the first anime at. I don't understand why that is and why they're not going ahead and making, maybe another 3-parter. Because to be honest with you, the whole OVA thing, even though I love to see the updated graphics, visuals, and everything like that, so beautiful. And by the way, got to mention in this one, this is something you got to watch in 1080p. I'd say it has some of the most beautiful artwork I have ever seen in an anime, and I've seen a lot of anime, or cartoon or anything. Just beautiful. Even the clouds and the landscape. You look at the clouds and the water and everything like that, and it's like, oh my God, this is special. This is just a beautiful thing to see. And like the calm before the storm, when the storm starts, the opposite is also true. The eclipse is shown beautifully. The dark scenes where our characters are basically in this this anime's interpretation of hell, I would say. Again, just like crazy visuals. In terms of the demons and stuff, I thought they actually looked better in this than they had in the old anime or in the manga, even to compare. Granted, those are very dated at this point, but a lot of the demons even look like zombies, kind of. Which is a cool take, and they just look really menacing, really scary, and I think overall, if you want to compare it to the others, it looks better this way. In terms of Griffith and everything that happens with him, Femco, in part 3, what can I say? It's some of the most tragic stuff I've ever seen, in anything. It's just his fall from grace, Descent, is very tragic, and again, I've said it before in one of my reviews for Game of Thrones, there are worse things than death. Torture is brutal, especially the way they used to torture people back in the medieval times. I mean, what happens to Griffith and everything with that is, oh my God, you got to feel so sorry for the character. Just brutal. The decision that he makes at this portion of Berserk it's a very selfish decision. It's traumatizing to watch. This is the type of thing that could give you nightmares. If, I would say honestly, anyone under 16, 17, 18 years old probably shouldn't watch Berserk. It's really dark. It is really dark. Maybe a little bit too dark. Maybe. I mean, I like it because it's different than anything else. I mean, it is unique. You can say that about Berserk and the whole story overall. But yeah, it's super dark. So if people are prone to not really like really dark things like that, they're probably not going to like this portion of Berserk, even if they like the other two. This part here is where a lot of people are going to be like, whoa. In terms of the visuals, it far surpasses the old anime, obviously, and it does make the demons, which in a lot of ways the demons in the old school anime, they didn't it didn't really capture their essence very well. It was still traumatic and traumatizing and everything of the sort, but it didn't really capture their that menacing look that they have and the grotesqueness of them. Whereas I feel like this captures them more accurately than that did. The only thing better might be like a live action with some really good art and great monster designs and things like that. It's about the only way you could top this. Yeah. So in terms of this versus the other two, is the OVAs as a whole, is that the best way to experience Berserk for the first time? Because of the visuals, I would say probably yes, because there is some beautiful visuals in here. When you see Zod fighting the Skull Knight, and you see everything that happens with that, beautiful visuals. The manga, though, is the original. The problem is a lot of people don't like reading manga or comic books. They have trouble with it. I'm not sure why. Maybe they're just not used to it or whatever. A lot of people say that's the best way to experience Berserk, and I might have to agree, because then you can get the whole story. You're not cut off. But just because most people don't like to read it, let's compare this one to the old one, the OVAs to the old anime. I mean, there's pros and cons to both. Obviously, the visuals are way better in this, but the story is condensed a lot, and there's a lot of things that are missing from earlier on. Plus, the pacing is pretty fast, so a lot of the emotion that happens with Griffith in this, you really don't, it doesn't, for me anyway, because I watched the other one first, maybe it's different if somebody watched this first, it doesn't hit you as hard as it did in the old anime because the pacing was slower and there was more of an appreciation there. This is faster, so it feels like you don't really absorb it as much as when they discover Griffith in the old anime. So even though the visuals and everything are absolutely beautiful, and I could probably, I guess I would say because of the visuals, for modern viewers, they might want to watch this one. But me personally, which one I prefer the old school anime. Plus, there's some more things in the old school anime, like seeing Guts as the Black Swordsman, which we didn't get in the OVAs at all, which was really cool to see, because it kind of makes you think, what is that all about? How come he's missing an eye? How come he's missing a hand? Why does he have a cannon for a hand? What's going on here? The Black Swordsman. Who's the Black Swordsman? So me personally, I think I prefer the old anime over the OVAs. But I can definitely see if people prefer the OVAs, because in terms of graphics, there's no comparison. So it really has to do with what do you prefer more, a slower paced story or a faster paced story with better graphics, but doesn't maybe hit you as deep with the emotion, maybe doesn't entrance you in that experience because it's shortened, it's shorter. More accessible way for nowadays to get into Berserk, I think. This is. So in terms of that, I mean, the Skull Knight was cool to see animated. Some of the fight scenes are really cool to see animated in this one. It's not exactly the same as the manga still. There are quite a few differences between it, some different characters and things like that they omitted to keep it sort of capped off at this point. And this is really hard to score for me. How could I score this? I could go into more detail, but I really don't want to spoil it for anybody. Because it's something that, if I start going into detail and I spoil it for even one person, I won't feel right. Because it's something that you got to watch and you wouldn't want to have it, you wouldn't want to have this spoiled. Out of every storyline, what happens here is something that you wouldn't want to find out first from a video on YouTube. Trust me, a review. So in terms of a score, I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. I think it's really well done for what it covers. The graphics are amazing. The sound is great. The story is this is a strange part in Berserk that I'm kind of lost. I'm at a loss for words in this one, and that rarely happens to me because I talk a lot, as you guys know. But I'm at a loss for words with this one. How can I? Oh, man, it's so tragic and it's so dark and it's so all those things, but it's Berserk and I love Berserk. You know, so it might be my least favorite part of it, but the choice that Griffith makes in this one, it is so powerful. Like it's such an interesting direction to go, and it makes him maybe the most evil character in almost any series I've ever seen. At least one of them. He's got to be up there as like one of the most evil. Just selfish and willing to do absolutely anything to accomplish his goal. Sacrifice anyone, whatever it takes, whatever the case may be. But you also sympathize with him because of what's happened to him recently and the state that we find him in. So, yeah, I won't elaborate too much more on that. If you guys want to hear more of my thoughts about the storyline of Berserk, you should go watch my anime and manga review in my channel. Just type in Berserk, you'll find it. That one I go into a lot more detail about the plot and get into spoilers and stuff like that. So, in terms of the whole OVA thing and this portion of it, I did really enjoy watching it again. Berserk is one of those legendary stories that I think they can do over and over again. But what does irritate me is that they seem to stop this one at the same point they stopped the old anime, for the most part. And people could say, oh, let's be technical. No, it's not the same because the Skull Knight came and yada yada yada, and Guts and Casca, they left the Eclipse and yada yada, all this stuff. It's basically the same. I mean, it's within like a few issues of the manga where the old anime cut and the new one, the new anime cut as well. So it's unfortunate. It serves almost as like a commercial for the anime, for anyone a commercial for the manga, which it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. I would actually rather have them have started this anime series right after the old one finished. That way we could see a lot of the other things, because Berserk, even though both anime seem to have only covered that portion of Berserk, if you read the manga and you go on further, there's all kinds of really awesome stuff coming up in the future after these events in Berserk that you can only experience in the manga. Interesting new characters, lots of different adventures for Guts, lots of different things that happen, him coming into his own and actually getting his Berserker armor, all these things that it's like, why would you stop here, you know? I mean, I want to see all these other events animated. You know, yes, I've read them in the manga, but I want to see those animated. And it irritates me that they stopped at this point. This is like, it's a real shame. Doesn't mean that these are a waste. Not entirely, but there's a lot of potential that they could do with the series. It's sort of like if you did a Dragon Ball Z OVA, but you only went up to the end of the Frieza saga, and you didn't do Cell and you didn't cover Boo or anything that happens after that, after Super Saiyan Level 1. It'd be like, yeah, it's a great story, I love it and everything like that, but it's like, I want to see the rest of the stuff. You know, I want to see Cell, I want to see Boo. I want to see all these events that happen afterwards to Guts and his adventures and becoming the Black Swordsman and chasing down the Apostles and all these awesome adventures, man. I want to see that shit, you know? And it pains me to know, I can't describe in words how mad it makes me that they cut off at this point. I thought they were going to go on further because the OVA was setting a really high pace, and I thought they were going to go over a lot of events and maybe they could squeeze in the 2 hours at least a few events past the Eclipse so that we could see some other things happen with Femco and just anything past that, because we've already been to that with the anime, but it didn't happen. So anyway, to give it a score, an 8 out of 10, I don't want to go on for too long. I'm already almost at 15 minutes. And I hope you guys enjoyed the Berserk reviews. I wish I could keep doing them, but guess what? They're not doing any more anime. So maybe I'll just go and read the manga again and maybe review that. But the thing is, the manga chapters, I don't know how many people follow Berserk manga as they're released, and I don't know the release schedule, if it's weekly, monthly, whatever, if it's on hiatus at the moment. I forget, or what's going on with that. So anyway, let me know what you guys thought about the OVAs. In comparison to the old anime, what did you think? In comparison to the manga, what did you think? I heavily enjoyed them, and because I enjoyed them so much, that almost makes me even more pissed that they stopped at this point for no reason, when there's so much more story that we can experience and see. And I just wish they would do a long-running anime with Berserk. It deserves it, and mark my words, one day it's going to happen. Somebody's going to do it. They have to. I mean, like, there's all kinds of other anime out there that is nowhere near as good as Berserk, and based off of manga, and they get long-running anime shows. Berserk has to get one, and it really is a shame that so far we haven't heard anything. So I hope eventually they go on further, and we do see an anime come in and do the rest of the, at least up to the manga, up to the current level where the manga's at, so we can get some kind of closure, and then, you get a more full story past this point instead of just the beginning of Berserk. Because this just feels like it's just like the intro to Berserk now compared to the manga, because it goes on so much further. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. How are you like me? Are you really pissed that they haven't gone on further? Do you wish they would? Do you think eventually they will? Maybe some of you got some information that I don't. Maybe, or they will go on further. As far as I know, they're not. So wikis and everything like that, nothing says anything about production of any other Berserk stuff. So it's a damn shame. This was really enjoyable, and I could definitely watch it over again. But I've already seen it that many times. I've read it in the manga, seen the old anime twice over, and this one now for that part of the story. I want to see the rest, you know what I mean? So maybe I'll just read the manga instead. Anyway, I'll call it here. That's it for this video, guys. I'll see you for the next one. This is Trev, and I'm saying peace.